Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the F.I.N.E podcast, where we are extremely happy to announce our sponsor for this episode, and that is Sarah Jane Tattoos. So if you are looking to get tattooed, we know a guy. Well, actually, she's a girl, but I digress. She does a bit of everything, but specializes in neo-traditional, neo-realism, new school, and also anything horror-related. You can check out her work on Facebook and Instagram at sarahjane.zow.tattoos. That's sarahjane.zow.tattoos. Or you can stop into Art and Soul, located at 217 Southwest Avenue, Kankakee, Illinois, 60901, or check out their website, www.artsoulstudio.com. That's ARTSOLSTUDIO.com. That was an ad, and that verbiage was sent to us by Sarah. But the other part that we wanted to add to this sponsorship ad is that we are also her clients. It's kind of like Hair Club for Men.
Yes.
I'm also a user of it. So Sarah's been my tattoo artist for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I think. I'll have to ask her. What about you?
Geez, it's been about 2 years maybe?
Yeah. And she is amazing. She's our tattoo artist for a reason. And that's why we asked her to be on the show today. She's phenomenal at what she does.
Yep.
Her entire shop at Art and Soul is incredible. It's an awesome place to go to. It is just a very welcoming vibe when you go there. It puts you at ease immediately when you walk in the door. So this was an ad that we were really happy that we get to say. This is a sponsor that we're really thankful to have, because just like any of the other sponsors, we use Sarah as our tattoo artist. So please check out her work, check out her shop, check out what they do, artsoulstudio.com, or her Facebook or Instagram at sarahjane.zow.tattoos. Welcome to another episode of the F.I.N.E podcast, where a couple of knuckle dragon veterans unpack the world of mental health as unprofessionally and informally as possible. I'm Eric Peterson.
And I'm Brad Stozik.
And today's episode is all about getting some ink therapy. We're going to talk to you about the military connection with tattoos, the science behind the relationship with tattoos and mental health, and a little of the history behind tattoos. And we're going to do so with our friends, tattoo artists from Art and Soul in Kankakee, Illinois, Sarah Jane and Karo Trzzy. So sit back and relax as we do our best to help you go from being freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional to truly being fine about getting a little ink therapy.
Welcome to the F.I.N.E podcast with your freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional hosts, Eric Peterson and Brad Stozik.
Man, it took me a while to get through that one, but we did it.
Yay.
We've been trying to record an episode for like ever.
Yes, we have.
It's been a really hard past few weeks.
Yes, it has.
And and then I'm just really excited for like all the election shit to be done with, because I just don't like any of that either.
No.
And so it's just nice to be able to get away from everything, because I really enjoy recording these episodes. And I was really excited to do this one because I didn't realize how much science was behind like tattoos. Like I knew it felt great. I knew I enjoyed doing it.
Yep.
I love tattoos. I've always loved tattoos for a lot of different reasons, but it was really interesting to me to actually get into the science behind everything. I really appreciate both of you guys being on here today. So thank you guys.
Of course. Hey, we appreciate you.
Oh, what? Now, Sarah, you and I,
Yep.
we go back a little bit.
Yep.
We were very serious contenders in track and field
Dude.
at Herscher High School.
We were strong.
We took it very serious. Shot put, discus, just out there getting it. And it's so awesome for me to like, as you grow up and you live in the town that you grew up in, to see the people who they were in high school and who they turned into as adults. Mm-hmm. It's so awesome. So, and I started going to you for tattoos, I don't know, like before 2020?
Yeah. I think so.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
What happened to your muscles?
I decided not to work out ever.
Yeah, I understand. Well, in all fairness, we just kind of sat there and watched JD just launch things into outer space.
Yo.
And we weren't very good. I mean, I don't know how good you were. I was not very good.
I mean, I was pretty not as good as Miss Burger, but
Yeah.
I was a contender.
We did our best. We made our mark.
We tried.
We tried valiantly.
God, we were like the best triers, dude.
Oh my God. Yeah, we were very good at trying, I think. But can you both please give a little introduction to who you are and what got you into tattooing?
So, I got into tattooing kind of when I was in culinary school. That's when I got my first tattoo. Hey, this is really cool. I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah.
And then I quit.
Quit culinary school.
Well, I graduated and I did it for a little bit, and then I quit to tattoo. I met a really great artist, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, if I give you a bunch of money, will you teach me how to tattoo? And he said, that's how it works. So the next day, I gave him a whole bunch of money, and he started teaching me how to tattoo.
Nice.
And I just started doing it ever since.
That's awesome. Carol?
Well, I was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit, and I was doing my bone art and jewelry and stuff like that, and I drew a lot all the time. And one day, my boyfriend's like, here is a tattoo machine, paid a lot, so start doing some shit.
Yeah.
Because we want to make some money.
Yeah.
Be rich.
Yep.
We're not rich, but
Working
we're
on it.
making some money.
We're all trying our best.
So I tried, I think for a year, I stayed at home and just kept going and going and going and just watching as many YouTube videos and tutorials and buying seminars online that I could. And then probably after maybe about 6 months into it, I paid for a seminar with Tommy Solis at Art and Soul. And when I did that, I brought my boyfriend in to tattoo him. And Tommy's like, why'd you pay for this seminar? And I like kind of looked at him, you know, because he's like serious, but jokingly, but I didn't know him.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know. I'm sorry. And he's like, dude, you already know what you're doing. And I was like, do I? Could this be?
That's got to be validating.
I was like, this is awesome. He's like, well, I'm building a spot. Like, we're building the section out to go back. So we'll have more booths in the front. So once we do that, I'll hit you back up. And I was like, are you really going to?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, have this motion through my head thinking about it. And sure enough, a couple months later, he did and got my spot at Art and Soul. And it's awesome because there's so many different artists there and so many different different art that everybody's doing there. You know, we have Joe's black and gray realism, and we have Tom who does everything possible.
Yeah.
You know, and then we got Sarah's neo-traditional, but she does so many different things and all like the colors and everything like that. So it's really great to be surrounded by artists who can do so many different things versus being in a shop where like the whole shop does this.
Right.
You know, so I really wanted to be able to branch out and try different things and figure out, you know, I know what I like, but what I'm good at also, because sometimes that always doesn't work out that way. You know, I might not like this, but that's maybe what I'm good at. So it really, really worked out. There's so many good shops and so many good artists around, but I am definitely really happy. And I meet a lot of friends there.
Yeah.
They're like my family. So
I get that vibe when I go to Art and Soul. Like it's very comfortable. Like when you walk in, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. But when I go into your guys' space, like I feel that, you know what I mean? And the atmosphere, not just created aesthetically by like the decor, which is also awesome in and of itself, and like the exposed brick and everything like that, but like the attitude between all of the artists that work there and like listening to everybody banter back and forth and stuff. Like
it's called hatred for each other.
Yeah, either way. Yeah. But as a veteran, it makes me feel very comfortable to be in that space because I'm very accustomed to that.
I second that.
Yeah, it's awesome because, you know, if somebody feels that something isn't going the right way, I always know, at least for myself or anybody else, I think we feel confident that the people around us are there to give us support. So say like you're having a bad day and you just think that this piece is not turning out right. You just step in the back and just like take a deep breath. You know, Tommy will be like, what's up? Let's go over there. And, you know, he just gives you that just nudge, or Sarah will give you that nudge, and Joe's just sitting there. And he's
literally
like,
nudge
what's up?
So it's supportive. Everybody wants to see everybody else do their best.
Yes, everybody strives there because everybody is there to give a helping hand, and we want to see everybody be the best they can instead of making it a competition, you know? And I feel like a lot of just people in the art industry or just any industry, you are out for yourself. And it's not like that we are. We're there to support and push people to strive.
Well, like I said, I think you're doing a pretty good job, because from like the perspective of somebody that comes in there as a buyer and being and a client, you feel that. You feel that just by being there. So it's good to hear that.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
we love our clientele.
Yeah, it shows for sure. Brad, why don't you get into the sources for this episode, please?
Yes. So on today's episode, our sources are thewoundedwarriorproject.org, history.navy.mil, coffeeordie.com, sailorjerry.com, and the National Institute of Health.gov.
Boom. What was everybody's first tattoo?
Oh man, my first
everybody's
tattoo. So, okay, technically my first tattoo was a little green stick figure on my foot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why'd you choose that?
Because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yep.
I tattooed myself.
That was while you were in culinary school, just getting into it, figuring out what it was about, and so
I was out of school and I was cooking and baking and all that stuff. And I'm like, hey, Dad, like for my birthday, can you get me this sweet tattoo machine? He's like, why? I said, because it's cool. And he's like, I guess.
In my mind, your dad is now Napoleon Dynamite. So,
yeah.
And
I'm sure he regrets that to this day.
So you did the tattoo on yourself.
I did, yeah.
That was your first tattoo. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So not only was it your first tattoo, but it was the first tattoo that you did.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sweet.
Very cool. Kara, what about you?
So I was dating this guy and he never did tattoos in his life, but he got a tattoo machine and he was tattooing the shit out of his legs. They looked really good. He was artistic and just everything. He's a big graffiti artist and he did this Mr. Scrub Bubble guy on his leg. I'm telling you, it looked like he ripped the wrapper off and put it on his leg.
No shit.
So good. And I can't remember the couple of other things that he did, but it was just awesome. And we were probably 16 and he's like, let me tattoo you. And I was like, yes. So I was like, all right, we got to find a spot so nobody sees it. So we did it pretty low, like right where underneath the underwear. So bathing suit wouldn't show. He fucked me up.
Oh, shit.
Purposely. I know it was on purpose. And he's like, no one's going to want to do her now because she's got a stupid tattoo. He did Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which I just kind of let him pick. I was like, it was a cool show.
Yeah.
He decided to do the digitalized version, but it wasn't good. He blew it out all over the place. It was absolutely horrendous. And I lived with that for a couple of years and then got it covered. And then with a unicorn sandwich, which was really freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And then it got covered again, but Sarah gave me a better unicorn sandwich. So it all worked out. But I know he did it on purpose and made it bad because all his looked great. And it's easier to do better ones on other people.
I hope that guy steps on every single Lego in the world. Oh my God. Okay.
Jesus. Wow.
He's dead.
Well, that escalated quick.
Whoa.
The universe found out about that.
Yeah. So I'm not talking poorly about him, but he did me dirty.
Yeah. Well, and most people, I feel like with their very first tattoos, not many people have like super great stories.
Yeah.
Brad?
Eric?
Yeah. What was yours?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, my first tattoo came a couple weeks after boot camp, and I was.
So it's fucking lame as shit, isn't it?
I was gung ho Marine Corps.
Yeah, buddy.
And for me, I thought tattoos were go big or go home, right?
Okay. Tell us.
So I may or may not have gotten Semper Fidelis with an Eagle Globe and Anchor.
Of course you did. Yep.
All the way down my ribs.
Nice.
Yeah. And
was it insanely painful?
Very much so. Yeah. And it was an awful, awful tattoo.
Yeah?
It looks like I don't know who did it, but it's bad.
And there's so many of those.
Oh, it's
like
so
just
bad.
Supermoto, gigantic Semper Fidelis or whatever. I don't have any military tattoos. Right before I deployed the first time, I got up. My first tattoo was a fucking Batman tattoo because I fucking love Batman. But my issue with it was I did not take care of it at all. I didn't know how to take care of it. And it was all this shading on the Batman emblem. And because I didn't take care of it, like it almost got infected. I was in the field training, getting ready to go to Afghanistan. So I wasn't keeping stuff. I didn't know how to care for it. I didn't know any of that shit. So I had to get it redone like multiple times. But I didn't know. I had no idea. And when you're young, I had a similar experience. One of my first tattoo artists was a friend of mine who didn't have a shop or anything like that. And he learned how to tattoo. He's incarcerated for a while. And him and I really get along. We really got along. And he was tattooing and I saw his stuff. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. You want to do that on me? And he was like, yep. And so we just did it in my living room. And he did my first tattoo. And so, I mean, I don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I was always scared to go to a tattoo shop when I was younger because of the negative connotations, stereotypes, whatever, that were like in that world. Because back then, like a decade, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, at jobs, you had to cover them up. You couldn't let your tattoos show. It didn't matter what the fuck they were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So because of that lack of understanding, because I couldn't ask those questions, I think it forces you into that position where you're just going to take what you can get. You know what I mean? And you're going to take a shot with somebody like that as opposed to going to an artist that might be more reputable, has a shop, has a book of art that they've done. You know what I mean?
I do.
I don't know.
I do. Now I do. And now I regret going to go big or go home. Not.
No, dude, be proud. Leave it. Don't fucking do anything with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I'm not getting that shit covered up. It's gonna hurt.
Get it covered up now.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to dip my body in paint.
You do it with a giant unicorn sandwich, maybe.
Jesus.
Yo.
You know what? I went back.
Somebody.
Well, speaking of, I do have a cover up lobster tree. We still need to work on that.
I feel like you should leave that because it's glorious.
Okay, maybe I will.
What is it?
Or we could make it like a real lobster tree.
So I wanted to do something nice for my wife, and I got a tattoo that, in my head, like I was like, this is gonna be awesome. So it's like a tree of like a man and a woman with like connects to like a heart, and then the date that we got married is like scraped into the tree trunk. But it looks like a fucking lobster because Sarah pointed that out, and she's like, hey, nice lobster tree. And I go, no.
And now it's forever a lobster
Now it's a lobster tree. So
yeah. That also hurts when you think you know what your tattoo is, and then somebody else looks at it and was like, no.
I guess it's a good thing I'm blind. I don't know.
There you go. Glass is half full.
Yeah.
If you can see it.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Boom. So the other thing that I didn't understand when I looked into this is, again, so I'm Filipino. When I started getting some of my tattoos, I was definitely influenced by like tribal Filipino art. And so like I was looking into all that stuff, and that's why the sleeve that I have on my left arm is all stuff that I found in like the Filipino tribal books that I was reading. And I didn't realize, I knew that a lot of veterans like getting tattoos, but I didn't understand like how big of a connection was, like if it was just pure happenstance or what. So I looked into it a little bit. Found out some pretty cool shit that I didn't know. So the first tattoo shop in the United States was founded by a German immigrant named Martin Hildebrandt. Hildebrandt joined the United States Navy, served from 1846 to 1849 on the USS United States. That's how fucking old he is. Like the ship was named after the United States. And he learned how to tattoo from another sailor. During the Civil War, he served in the Army of the Potomac and traveled from camp to camp, offering military tattoos. Men from more units learned about the art, and tattooing rapidly became widespread among soldiers as it had been among sailors. And tattoo parlors began to proliferate in the port towns because of it. Contemporary historian Wilfred Dyson Hambley, which sounds like a made-up name, estimates that 90% of American sailors and tattoos had tattoos by the end of World War I. So like back to World War I, thanks to a German immigrant, and he opened up the first tattoo shop. And the second veteran that had a pretty big impact in the world of tattoos was Norman Collins, known as Sailor Jerry. So he'd never heard of Sailor Jerry, and I'm like, I feel like everybody's fucking heard of Sailor Jerry. Sailor Jerry rum, Sailor Jerry style, Sailor Jerry whatever. So Norman Sailor Jerry Collins was born in 1911, died in 1973, was a pioneering American tattoo artist known for revolutionizing modern tattooing through his bold designs, technical innovations, and influence on the American traditional tattoo style. So some of the contributions he had, he developed the American traditional style, bold black outlines, vivid colors, iconic imagery like eagles, anchors, pinup girls, nautical symbols, His work set the foundation for classic military and sailor tattoos that are still popular today. His technical innovations, he created custom ink pigments that were more vibrant and longer lasting. He improved sterilization techniques to make tattooing safer. In his youth, he traveled across the United States and learned tattooing from hand-poking methods before he enlisted in the Navy. Then when he joined the Navy, his time exposed him to Asian tattoo styles, particularly in Japan, where he studied Japanese tattoo techniques, shading, design philosophy, and that led him to blend traditional Japanese aesthetics with bold American iconography, creating the American traditional tattoo style. Based in Honolulu, Hawaii, he tattooed thousands of World War II sailors. He was in Honolulu when Pearl Harbor happened, and shortly after that, he really changed the game, it seems like, quite a bit from a tattooing perspective. And his shop became legendary among military personnel that were on leave. The Sailor Jerry brand, which was created after his death, kept his art alive, influencing tattoo culture, fashion, and spiced rum. And his innovations still define modern tattooing because the American traditional style remains one of the most iconic tattoo styles worldwide. From your guys' perspective, is that type of stuff just overplayed, outdone? I mean, do you still have a respect for the art that was done? Like, what is your guys' opinions when it comes to things like Sailor Jerry that are more mainstream from a tattoo perspective?
I don't think it's overdone. I think it kind of goes in waves. Like, it was like super popular back then because that's all you could get. And then it died off a little bit with like with realism and neo-traditional and illustrative tattoos. But now it's like definitely way popular again. I think there's a few shops that only do traditional, in our neck of the woods. And I think it's really cool. And I definitely have a great respect for that and where we come from.
Yeah. Kara, what do you think?
Well,
You're thinking very hard about your answer.
I definitely respect it, but I definitely think it's oversaturated.
Yeah.
Because, you say you have a group of 100 people, I feel like at least 12 of those people are going to have the exact same tattoo.
Oh, sure.
And, when you think of a tattoo, you get a tattoo to kind of be different, and then when you see 12 people with the same tattoo,
right,
it's kind of like that. But also on another hand, you can get a traditional or a Sailor Jerry tattoo and kind of change it up to feel, your vibe. But I feel like a lot of people don't. But, it's to each his own. I'm not the biggest fan of traditional tattoos personally for myself, but I do have that respect for how it grew the world today and made it become what it is today.
Right.
And I do enjoy looking at those old photos with books and, just learning all the history on it. But, I just feel like the people who are stuck in it hasn't gone very far from it,
right,
type of thing. And I like to see everything grow.
Yeah.
And, some people, like with the neo-traditional, that part of it grew. And then I feel like the other part, just the traditional, just hasn't grown very far away from it,
Right.
Yeah, I will say it's like a subcategory, of traditional, hence neo-traditional, neo-realism.
Yeah.
Which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yes, because I do enjoy neo-traditional. I think it's really...
Can you explain what neo-traditional is?
So neo-traditional is heavy lines, line weights. So thinner lines for details, thicker lines for like the outline to give it dimension through line work. And then the rendering of it is kind of traditional, but there's like transitions between colors, but the colors are very saturated.
Okay.
Neo-realism is realism with outline.
Okay. I got you. Very good explanation of that. What do you guys think it's like tattooing veterans? Is there any difference at all? Do you notice anything? Is tattooing veterans unique in any sort of way?
Well, I will tell you, I didn't tattoo a veteran, but I tattooed a veteran's wife the other day.
Yeah.
And mature skin is danger zone. It's very scary just because the moment you touch it can be a blowout. So It's always when you're going into it with, at least myself, with anxiety.
Yeah.
But I know, if we do it once and some doesn't stay, then we just do it a second time, just so it doesn't look all blown out and trashy. So she had on her boob, a rose that was probably
It's called a breast.
Her titty.
Yeah.
So she had a rose titty, and it was probably about 30 years old. She was 74.
Okay.
And she's like, my husband was in the military. He was on now I'm going to forget what it was called, the tank. He was one of the guys that were like on top of the tank. And one of the mine finders did not see a mine. So when they drove, the mine went off and blew off part of his face. He survived, but he got a Purple Heart from it.
Right.
And so she came into the shop and she's like, I would really like it if you could tattoo this Purple Heart over the flower, because he had passed away and she wants his Purple Heart over her heart.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, 3 weeks. Let me prepare this. Let me draw this, because it was only this big. And it's kind of detailed.
Right.
And so I did that for her, and we did color, and it seemed to cover, her old tattoo very well. And just to see her, she was crying.
Yeah.
She was so happy, and just the happiness in certain people's eyes. And then to be able to do that, and then just her whole backstory that she was telling me. So tattooing veterans sometimes are the best thing, the best feelings you get, because I feel like a lot of times they don't think that they can get that. It can be done for them. And when you do it, just the reactions, you don't get reactions from too many younger kids just because they do it all the time.
Right.
And to just experience and see different people's reactions towards things. It was just a really good feeling.
That's really cool.
It was awesome.
Sarah, you made a face when I asked that question.
No, it was a good face, because my first veteran was my dad.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He had 2 Navy tattoos, one on each arm, and he wanted me to fix it.
Yeah.
And this was when I started working with Tom. So this was 9-10 years ago. And he's sitting in my chair. I was so proud to have him. And he was just sitting there while I tattoo him, just talking about his experience in the Navy.
Yeah.
Because he went to military school as a child, and then he was just in it kind of ever since, until he told them he was done.
Yeah.
in a nice way.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was just sitting there telling me about all these cool things on the ship, and the things that he had to do, the people that he met, the places that he got to see that I'll never get to see. And it was just a really cool, heartwarming experience that I got to bond with Dad that way.
And you hadn't heard any of these stories up until that point?
Not kind of, but he elaborated more when he was sitting there. So that was really cool.
And we're going to get into this a little bit more in a little bit, but when you're, in my opinion, when you're tattooing me and it has anything to do with anything that I've done in the military, it brings all that stuff back up, because I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm thinking about it as you're doing it, and I want to talk. And so I feel like tattoo artists have become therapists without the degree.
Sure. Because
you sit there and you talk with these people for hours.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be genuine. It's not like some fake bullshit conversation. Sure. I'm dealing with a little bit of the pain. And so I'm sitting here, and you're going to see me react to the pain. And so again, it's just a very genuine relationship.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Which is why I feel like, especially when you tattoo people so many times, Buck, you probably know everything about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those genuine conversations, the people that have those genuine conversations, in my opinion, have been on the front line of mental health for ever. Tattoo artists, barbers, hairstylists, all those people, bartenders, they are, say what you want, but they're having the conversations with people on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Many people say that tattoos help with processing emotions. What do you guys think it is about the tattoo process that makes it therapeutic?
I think it's sitting there and talking.
Yep.
It's it's really quite intimate.
Yeah.
Because you're one-on-one with somebody for hours typically, and it's nice for them to feel comfortable opening up to us as artists and just as people.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. And I think going through the pain, which differs depending on where you're getting it.
Right.
But it takes your mind off of what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Which can be healing in a way. You know, a lot of people say ink therapy, and that's, you know, like a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Carol, what do you think?
I agree.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, going through pain with somebody, even though we're not going through the pain, we're giving the pain, but
we know what it feels
that.
like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, just random things come up. And I feel like also, too, they just start kind of rambling, or we start rambling, especially if situations get like your client's a little awkward or something, and you kind of try to open them up so they don't feel so awkward. You kind of, you know, read the room, and then, or if they are feeling more in pain, you know, you get some clients that, you know, so you're trying to kind of get them to open up, and then they just start going, and it's just a connection. You always form connections, regardless what type of person, girl, boy, anything. It's just, you know, and it's cool because you never get the same person, or you never get the same tattoo. So there's always something to talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. So tattoos essentially are forms of art, and art engages your brain, and it does so in a few ways. And I wanted to talk about those just for a second. So one, creating and observing art activates multiple brain regions. It involves the visual cortex, motor cortex, limbic system, engages both hemispheres of the brain. Studies using fMRI scans show that looking at or making art activates dopaminergic pathways similar to those involved in pleasure and reward. It enhances cognitive function. Viewing or making art can improve problem-solving skills, memory, creativity. Neuroplasticity is stimulated when individuals learn new artistic techniques or interpret complex imagery. And then emotional processing and expression. The amygdala, which processes emotions, becomes active when engaging with meaningful artwork. Art therapy is often used to help individuals process trauma by channeling emotions into a visual form. And also flow state and mindfulness. So creating art induces what they call a flow state, where an individual can lose track of time and experience a very deep focus. The prefrontal cortex associated with self-criticism and overthinking becomes less active, which leads to stress relief. Do any of those things resonate with either of you as far as what you find being a tattoo artist?
Well, I'll tell you, when I start on a drawing, I won't stop. And like 3 hours later, when my cats are mad because they're hungry.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You just like zone in and nothing else exists outside of that. Mm-hmm. That's very cool.
Yeah. My boyfriend's like, you know, I'm home. What are we doing? The kids are just like, ah! And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just in my own thing.
Yeah.
Just hanging out. But I have noticed definitely when I tattoo, ever since I started, or even doing like a painting at home, I sleep. I sleep so good. And I was never a sleeper. I could not sleep for everything. Yeah.
She was a vampire?
Yeah.
I was a vampire. But it definitely, I think, you know, just like the mental focus, because I'm not a really good focuser either. Mm-hmm. So being able to focus on something I enjoy and knowing I kind of have to sit there, because I wasn't a good sitter either. I have to get up and do this. And, you know, I have the TV on or the music on and I'm doing this 100 things at once. It's like the first time in the last 2.5 years that I've sat for some time doing one thing and just had my focus on something. So I've noticed that I can definitely focus in life better.
Yeah.
And not be, I'm still scattered, but not as scattered to the point where it makes my anxiety higher.
Right.
You know? So I think a lot of those are very accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, what tattoos do you guys have that have the most or deepest emotional connection, if any?
So I have one for my mom. It's on the back of my arm. She's being attacked by the Loch Ness Monster.
Nice.
So I love her.
Yeah.
Is that her?
Yes.
I love it.
I asked her, I'm like, Mom, what do you like more? Do you like dinosaurs or the Bumble, which is like that animated Christmas movie?
Oh, yeah.
She's like, I like dinosaurs. And I said, bet.
I love that. That's a beautiful tribute. That's a beautiful tattoo.
She cried.
Really?
Yeah.
Happy tears or sad tears?
No, she was happy.
Okay, good.
Dad wasn't.
No? He's
like,
in the Navy.
Why the hell did you get your mom? And I'm like, because I thought it was cute.
What about you, Karo?
I tattooed my kids' names in like metal dark arts kind of tattoo-ish style. But other than that, nothing really.
Yeah.
They're all just kind of kooky.
Yeah, that's great too. Brad?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
I have the one for my kids, their birthdays and stuff,
Yep.
and then
That's a pretty sick tattoo.
thanks. I know that
Yeah,
I
who
got a
did?
good artist. So,
Mhm.
and actually, I got a tattoo of a bong that looks like the Kool-Aid Man. And
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
And my mom also got a bong and a pot leaf.
I love that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. That was fun.
Yes.
That was a-
Yep. So that one's pretty meaningful too.
Yeah, like every tattoo I got outside of the fucking Batman one, I got for like a reason of
Yeah.
some kind. You know what I mean?
Yep,
And there's
yep.
nothing wrong. Like I've heard some people say something like talking shit about tattoos that you get for no reason. And I think that's bullshit too. It's your body. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Sure.
I wanted something honoring my mom's side of the family, which is why I went with the tribal stuff, but I wanted to make it mine. So I was deploying a lot at the time. And I knew that I was starting to suffer a little bit mentally. And so I got one of my favorite quotes by Friedrich Nietzsche: whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And I got that tattooed on the inside of my arm. So like I could read it
Mhm.
because when I'm shooting, when I'm practicing on the range or whatever, like that's right there. So like I could always like sit there and look at that and like remember that.
Yep.
And then I got, after my mom passed away, one of the first things I did was, after my mom passed away, I realized all of like how my life has really been not shaped just by this, but like I've gotten a lot of strong women in my life. Right. And so I was like, fuck, I want to do something for that. And so I started getting tattoos. We started it. Haven't finished it yet. It's on me.
Well, that's because that strong wife of yours.
Because that strong wife of mine wanted tattoos. We like go back and forth all the time. Like, whose turn is it to go get tattoos? But I took all the flowers, the favorite flowers of all the women in my family. And like, I got tattoos for them with my mom being up top because she loved roses. So I mean like, and you do those things because it's like, you're keeping that with you all the time. Like it's a nice reminder for me to do stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I can't leave Amanda out. That's why I have crazy on my arm.
Aww.
Yeah. I mean, that one's important too. I don't want to. Sorry, Amanda. I love you.
Jake, edit that and put that in the beginning of the other stuff. That
Yeah,
you said. Make that one the most important one.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I got
But
a
no.
tattoo of Ashley riding a bomb in a pinup girl outfit.
Nice.
And then it says one of my favorite lyrics, one of my favorite songs, "If you need lovin', oh baby, I travel around it." And it's like Sailor Jerry-esque, but not quite. But yeah, I got that one for my wife too. I haven't done anything else for my kids because I want to think of something good to do. But I
Well,
don't
they're
know.
just kids anyways, They just come and go.
They'll be fine. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah,
You know
whatever.
what I mean? Do you think that there is an emotional weight of tattooing trauma-related or memorial tattoos?
Oh, yeah.
What is that like?
So initially, every time I do one, I'm real nervous.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say anything inappropriate or not be like sensitive to their situation.
Yeah.
But like as I'm doing the stencil and talking to them and eventually tattooing them, it's really important that we as tattoo artists accommodate people like that and
It's
be
easier said than done, but
sure.
yeah.
I mean, we talk to them when maybe they can't talk to anybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because they don't know us. I think
Sure.
that what is really helps, the disconnect in
Yeah.
that
Sure.
situation.
Right.
But even so, like after that, I feel like we've become very close to people like that. I enjoy tattooing those types of people. I think they're way more relatable than most.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure, and I learn a lot from them, and hopefully, I help them out that day.
That's how I feel too. It's like an achievement.
Sure.
Like I love doing the things that I love to do.
Right.
And I love, the flash and the dark arts. But when you can make somebody's day better or feel like you helped them through that situation, it
Yeah.
definitely means something.
Yeah. Love that. Why do you guys think tattoos, or some people still view tattoos negatively?
Because we're delinquents.
We're bad bitches.
I don't get it. I get it to a degree in that So when I was about to get out of deploying with the State Department, a buddy of mine was a medic and big, just gigantic dude, tatted out everywhere. Sure. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get a civilian job and I'm going to get this tattoo and it's going to say fucking hostile. And he's going to get it across his neck. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to be that dude, but like,
dope.
Maybe,
cool.
Maybe something else. Like if you're trying to get like a job like that. Like I understand. I'm not saying everything's all or nothing. I understand there's some things where you're like, all right, dude, I understand. But for the most part, I feel like the people that are against tattoos are just very antiquated in a lot of their beliefs. I don't understand the process. If you don't want it for you, great. It's your body. Do whatever you want or don't do it. But to like judge other people based on their tattoos. When I first got hired on as a paramedic, I had the sleeve tattoo. And the first thing they were like, you need to cover that up. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? So it was just, I think people were just used to it and they just didn't like that freedom of expression that you have over your body. Sure. You know what I mean? So the tattooing process, there's a lot of science behind it, like we've kind of already talked about, on how it makes you feel better and why. So the tattoo process itself involves repeated needle penetration into the skin, which the brain perceives as a controlled injury. This triggers several neurochemical responses. So we have pain perception, somatosensory cortex, and amygdala. The somatosensory cortex processes the physical pain of the needle. The amygdala, which is involved in emotional responses, may intensify the experience based on personal or symbolic meaning. And then endorphins and dopamine release, the pain plus reward effect. The body responds to tattoo pain by releasing endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, which creates a sense of euphoria. Dopamine, which is the feel-good neurotransmitter, is also released, which reinforces a sense of accomplishment or emotional relief. This biochemical mix explains why some people describe tattoos as addictive or feel a high during the process. Tattoos are often tied to significant emotional experiences, a little bit like we talked about, which enhances their impact on the brain's memory and emotional sensors. So the hippocampus and memory encoding. The hippocampus, which helps process and store memories, links the pain and the experience of getting a tattoo with its meaning. This is why tattoos often serve as powerful reminders of events, people, or emotions. They are physically embedded in the body and the memory, like Sarah talked about with her dad. Amygdala and emotional significance. So the amygdala is the brain's emotional processing center, determines how meaningful an experience is. If the tattoo represents loss, triumph, or identity, the amygdala reinforces its emotional weight. And then pain plus emotion equals a stronger psychological impact. The neuroscientific studies suggest that physically painful experiences combined with strong emotions lead to deeper memory encoding. This is why tattoos can feel more meaningful than other forms of self-expression like writing or photography. And the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and self-awareness, also plays a role in tattoos as expressions of identity. So from a self-expression and control perspective, tattoos allow people to assert control over their bodies, especially in response to trauma or major life changes. This is particularly true for individuals with PTSD, depression, past abuse, and these people might use tattoos as a form of reclamation and empowerment. Many people report feeling a boost in confidence, resilience, and emotional healing after getting a meaningful tattoo, and some serve as ongoing therapeutic tools, reminding individuals of their strength or past experiences. So some therapists recommend tattooing as a form of self-expression therapy. Do you guys agree with that? And have you seen clients use tattoos to reclaim their bodies like that?
I have.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate? Like how so?
So I'm heavily tattooed.
Yeah.
And when I first started getting it, I just thought it was cool. But then as time went on, I started getting them to feel whole in a way.
Yeah.
I could never imagine myself without them. And I feel like if I didn't have them, I almost wouldn't be the person that I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They do give me a sense of confidence and uniqueness. And I just really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? Karo, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
Especially about my ears. Because everybody's like, yours are so big. What are you going to do when you're old? My kids are going to sit in their swings. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're going to hold up my tits one day. I don't know.
Breasts.
Yes.
Jesus.
Sorry. They're just going to support them. I don't know. My ears are going to be old and saggy just like me. I don't know.
Right.
You know, I love them.
I saw pictures from that Hildebrandt guy, the guy who had the first tattoo shop. And like one of the coolest pictures I've seen of somebody tattooed were some of the people that he tattooed, and the pictures are in fucking black and white and they just look gangster as hell. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It's from the 1800s. Like a lot of people say that stuff, right? About, well, how's that going to look when you're older? And I feel like that's such a moot point when you really talk about it, because it's like, okay, well, how's your personality going to age? How's everything else going to age? Like, what the fuck is the point? Yeah. This makes me happy right now. This makes me feel all of these things, gives me confidence, whatever the case may be. That is not your fucking problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so I understand that too. Also, for some, regret can activate the brain's stress response, particularly if a tattoo no longer aligns with their identity. So that leads me to ask, have you ever had to talk anyone out of a bad tattoo?
Yes. Yes. Anytime somebody comes in for names, I make them sit on the front couch for at least 20 minutes and think about it. And I've had at least 5 people walk out.
Really?
They said, and one girl messaged me back on DM and said, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I definitely understand that.
Most I'll do, but the name thing, I make them sit and think about it like they're in timeout.
Right. Well,
I don't care how old you are, but like, you know what? Or I'll give them a 2-for-1 deal. You pay now, I'll cover it later.
Well, I mean, good on you for at least trying to take what could potentially be a very impulsive decision and just asking the person to think about it just a little bit. And if they still want to do it, great. But I mean, do you see a lot of people in our area, because it's not like a high foot traffic area like Chicago or something like that? Do you have a lot of people come in there with super impulsive requests?
I mean, like on Walk-In Wednesdays, those are probably the most impulsive ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. But 5 names out of the year in 6 months I've been at Art and Soul. So that's not a lot.
Yeah.
And honestly, I definitely read the person before that because I don't want to make anybody upset.
Right.
But in a way too, I don't want anybody upset about me. Like, why'd you let me do that?
Well, that wouldn't be your fault, girl.
Yeah,
I know, but some people.
Some people suck.
Yeah.
Like the people that are going to complain about that, we're probably going to complain no matter what you did.
Exactly. You so I try to help, because if I would have done that when I was younger, I would hope somebody would have said that to me.
So I'm going to tell you, I have plenty of ex-boyfriends' names tattooed on me.
Yeah.
That I let them tattoo on me.
That's okay. My wife has my name. My wife's first tattoo. I'm gonna fuck it. Is my name in Chinese? I'm not Chinese. On the back of her neck. We both, because I got the Batman tattoo and she got that, and I was just about to deploy. And so we were like talking about, well, what should we do? No fucking idea. I get the Batman tattoo. She gets my name in Chinese on her neck. And again, that fucking meme, like it probably means water or something. No fucking idea what it means. Never looked it up. But like, yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? At this point, nah, man, I don't know if I should look it up.
It just says soup.
Yeah.
That's fine, because I like soup too. Have you ever had to talk anyone out of a bad tattoo?
No, because I let people do what they want. But I have turned people away.
Yeah.
Because there were some real inappropriate tattoos that I didn't agree with.
Yep.
But this girl come in, wanted her boyfriend's name tattooed on her butt cheeks.
Yeah.
I did it.
Well, yeah, butt cheeks.
Old English. And then years later, I was at PetSmart and she come up and she had said something about her boyfriend. I'm like, oh, you have his name tattooed on your butt? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I did that.
And they were still together?
Yeah, they were. But she's
like her cheeks or their...
No, it was...
She was in an accident.
It was his first name on one cheek, last name on one cheek, last name on the other cheek, in Old English lettering.
I love that.
It was yuck.
See, butt's not too bad because at least it's hidden, even though it's on the whole butt. Like the one girl wanted the name on her neck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then the other one just wanted it across the arm.
Yeah.
And like my cousin, now he has his ex-girlfriend, baby mama, her full name on his neck. And then one wasn't enough. And they got it across his arm. And they never liked each other. So I just like seen that while I was growing up, and I'm like, I won't let that happen to others from me.
Like he just wanted her to love him.
No, he hated her.
But he's still got the tattoos.
Well, that's weird. I don't know.
I think at that point, just get like a tattoo of a line through it and then just tattoo the next name.
Yes,
and then
right?
just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think that would probably be more
really
appropriate
cool.
and that would be fine.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
That was an oopsie.
Everybody's got oopsies. What's the weirdest tattoo request you've ever gotten?
Ooh.
So every time I'm asked this, I tell the same story, and it's
Nice.
effing dope. So this girl come in, and she's like, I have rats. I'd like a rat tattoo. I said, sweet. How many do you have? Said 2. She's like, I really like clowns too. I'm like, bet. We're gonna do a Siamese twin rat clown creature.
Yep.
And we did. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
But I feel like from talking with you before too, you like the challenge of creating these pieces, especially that are anchored in like horror or anything like that. Why do you think that is?
Because I'm weird.
I like horror movies too.
I don't know. So like ever since I was a kid, Mom was really into horror movies, so I grew up with it.
Yeah.
And Grandma was an artist. She was a bit weird. And I don't know, I always gravitated towards that kind of stuff. Like the weirder the better, the more obscure the better.
I appreciate that creativity because it's like I'm not creative like that. And so for me, I feel like I would be so like cookie cutter. And for you to just take any idea, and a lot of artists to just take an idea, run with it, make it your own and create something is just like, that's such a skill. That's so cool. You know what I mean? To see a lot of that stuff.
Thanks.
What about you, Karo?
Mine's a little inappropriate.
Nice. Send it.
So this was before I was working at the shop when I had my own little studio at home.
Mm-hmm.
It was my sister's coworker came in. She was deeply scarred from something that she had when she was younger. So she wanted me to tattoo her armpits. So I tattooed her armpits, and it was kind of hard because her scarring was really deep. So after I did that, she's like, okay, I really like that. And I wanted a female artist for this. She's like, I really want my butthole tattooed.
Butthole tattooed.
And I was like, what do you mean you want your butthole tattooed?
That is
And I was
ballsy.
like,
did you do it?
No, I never did it because then I started working at the shop, and she was so crazy at her wedding that all the girls, she never had a friend very long. So my sister only knew her for like a couple of months. And then those were the girls that she asked to be in her wedding. So that's how you kind of know. When those are the people standing up and you've known them for a couple months, usually you know it's the crazy person. So I didn't end up doing it.
But what did she want?
I was going to say, follow-up question. What did she want tattooed on her butthole?
So she talked about a spider web coming from the hole out.
Okay.
And I was like, but we just did a spider web in one. And she's like, well, maybe a flower. And I was like, we just did a flower in that one.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm going to have to really think maybe the Beetlejuice sand snake. And I was like,
coming out of the butthole.
That would be really cool.
Yep.
That would be super cool. But what if she stunk? Or then how am I, am I using my elbows to spread and trying to tattoo? Like,
well, you would have to have her spread her own cheeks.
Yeah, and that's going to be a long time.
But the bigger issue would be keeping it clean afterwards.
That's why I don't think it would be cool to be like, I tattooed a butthole.
Yeah.
But I do not want that on me to where people don't keep things clean.
Because I feel like people who want butthole tattoos won't keep it clean.
No, they're dirty. They like things in their butthole.
I like that that's a subsect of people. Like, these are all people who want their buttholes tattooed. Like, as a tattoo artist, are there those staples, like, where you get asked to do certain things and you guys compare? Like, because I say that from the perspective of, I'm sure the longer you're a tattoo artist, the crazier shit you see, the crazier shit you've heard. Are there, like, benchmarks as being a tattoo artist where it's almost like, you know, how you work your way up through the ranks? Like,
sure. Like, if you haven't done this tattoo, then you're not a real tattoo. Yes.
What are they?
Okay.
Butthole tattoos.
Tribal butthole tattoos.
Nice.
Infinity signs. Tramp stamps.
Tramp stamp still in?
I have done one.
Back?
Yes.
I did a cover up on a tramp stamp not too long ago.
You got to do a cross.
Oh, yes.
That's
done
it.
plenty of crosses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A rose.
I'll tell you one that I did. And it was like the trifecta.
Yeah.
And it was big. It was like 5 inches long. That's what she said.
Yeah, I was going to say, you hear that? That's big. Did you hear that? Anyway.
Let's go.
she wanted an infinity sign with a feather, a watercolor feather, silhouettes of birds, and a little palms thing.
Did it say
all
live,
in
laugh,
this
love?
one tattoo.
Hell yeah.
And there was like some fine little shading. And I'm like, girl,
Yeah.
let's do it. I'm not talking you out of this. This is going to be in my portfolio forever.
Oh.
That's a lifer. So I'm doing this really cool. Well, I probably shouldn't talk about this one, but somebody's got an
Talk about
infinity
it.
sign. Or yeah, he might not hear. He's got an infinity sign, deep black, pretty thick. And
Yep.
I'm doing this really cool sleeve on him.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, awesome. We'll like start the sleeve lower, and kind of get rid of it. And I start to put the stencil lower, and he's like, nah, I need to keep the infinity symbol. And I was like, I felt like I was on a roller coaster and my stomach dropped. And I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
no,
Oh.
not to my tattoo. So I'm going to have to kind of incorporate it somehow and make it less stand out because there's literally just skin in between it. So
Yeah.
it's like super noticeable and that's what it sticks out. But
Is it frustrating working around other tattoos if they're like stuff that somebody else had done? Or does that not really matter so much? Do you not really care?
It doesn't really matter
Yeah.
unless it's like real close together.
Right.
But other than that, I don't really care.
no,
I'm just
because I
curious.
think
I'll figure it out.
sometimes, especially if it's not as good, it just makes your stuff look better.
Right.
Or if you have to attach.
Score.
Yeah, score. But if you are attaching into a sleeve, sometimes I feel like that sucks because it's hard to post then.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I did like, let's circle or dot around it so people know what I did versus the other stuff.
I just write on them, I didn't do this. So when I take a picture, they know.
Cross, big X's.
Now, what's the worst tattoo you guys have ever seen? Whether it's something you covered up or whatever, just the worst tattoo you've ever seen.
The worst tattoo I've ever seen.
Ooh, we were just talking about those ones. They weren't necessarily poorly done, but remember when we were talking about that show that the partners do it on each other and just do really shitty things?
God.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen like a clip of that, you need to. That shit's
show is it?
crazy. And these are coming from people's like actual friends.
Yeah, so I think yes,
Yeah.
I think Snooki's
Yeah.
one of the like
It's how
hosts.
far is tattoo far?
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So
How far is
somebody
that too far?
I think it was like a tramp stamp and it had like it was almost like a calendar type of thing and one was like 5 a.m.
Sure.
Blowjob, 6 a.m. sleep with your
X.
ex's wife and it just like goes down and this
That was
lady
the
has
tattoo.
it tattooed on her
Nice.
back.
Nice.
So some of those were pretty bad. I don't
Dude.
think I can't think of one that I seen that I was just like, oh boy.
I mean, I haven't seen these in real life, but like I've seen them on the internet. Like
Yeah.
the wolves that look surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Those are
seen
dope.
those.
Now going back to Napoleon Dynamite, I just think like you need a tattoo like a liger on me.
Hell
That'd be
yeah.
pretty bad, but good at the same time.
Well,
Can you tattoo Tina on me?
Yes.
Well, because there's that line with tattoos, right? I mean, if it's so bad, it's also great.
Yeah.
That's the lobster tree.
Yeah.
Lobster tree.
You can't do anything about it because of how bad it is.
Except
Like, you gotta
turn
keep
a
it.
tree into a lobster.
Fuck it, or just leave it, man. It's a testament to your undying love.
Well, I had to get a
Of
new. We had to
lobsters.
get new
Of lobsters.
tattoos because it was so bad.
It's okay. It happens.
Hey, just so you know, lobsters are my favorite crustacean. So
There you go.
They are cool.
Now, what is the most meaningful tattoo you've ever created or seen? Either one.
Mine would probably have to be that purple heart.
Yeah.
Just because
it's
the way
pretty
it made
cool.
her feel.
Yeah, especially after the loss of her husband too.
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah.
be able to do that, I have to imagine that also gave her some bit of closure to do that. So it's like the emotion. I can't imagine the pride that you would have in seeing somebody get that release, that emotional whatever because of something that you did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's cool as hell.
And especially like the feeling beforehand of just nervousness, anxiety, and
Right.
just like feeling so sick, just covering up a tattoo already
Right.
is already, unnerving. And just doing this piece that was detailed and trying to kind of dumb it down a little bit. And then making it small on the skin, and just like I said, the more mature skin, it just like had a lot of variables going on.
Yeah.
That it was just all hitting me at once. And then when she came in, I was like, the roller coaster hit again, and just like my stomach dropped. I'm like, all right, let's do this, you know, and then just have her be so happy about it.
Yeah.
It was felt really good.
Very cool. Sarah?
So this is kind of a long story. It's not really a long story. So years ago, I tattooed this woman. I think she was in her 70s, 72, maybe 73. And it was her first tattoo, and it was a little butterfly. So years later, this mom and daughter come in, and it was the daughter's first tattoo, and I'm tattooing them, and the mom says to me, yeah, you know, my mom passed away, and she got her first tattoo when she was 70 some years old.
No.
And I'm like, what did she get? A butterfly. And I'm like, I did that tattoo. It was at downtown. She's like, yes. And I'm like, you had this other girl there. It was your exchange student. And she's like, oh my God. She started crying. I started crying.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most memorable tattoo.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
That was crazy.
And that's cool that you can have that type of effect with their family. Like you've literally left your mark on multiple generations in that family.
Yeah.
And it's cool. There's a lot of people that I've met, especially since doing this podcast, where it's like you would look, some people, especially in the past, would look at a profession or a person or whatever the case may be, and they'd rush to a judgment about what they do and why and everything like that. But like what we have learned from talking to people about the experiences they've had is my favorite part about doing this podcast, because that kind of reminds me, like we were talking earlier, we had Santa on an episode of this podcast, Steve Sullivan, amazing dude.
Sure.
He's played Santa for over 30 some years.
Wow.
And so we did an episode where I was like, will you come on our episode in character where we can talk to Santa about mental health stuff? And we did. Here's some things that I didn't know. He's had to do Make-A-Wish like situations for kids that have cancer. He's had to do that shit. He told me how like being a mall Santa was one of the hardest jobs, because kids would come up to him just saying like, I just want my dad to get a job.
Oh, God.
I want my friend to come back. Like he told us some insane, where like, you think about a mall Santa, very lighthearted, like whatever. He would tell me like he had a kid who his friend was killed. Remember that?
Yep.
And sat on his lap and just said that he just wanted his friend to come back.
Oh, God.
And Sully was like, I had to go into the bathroom and like have a little Eminem 8 Mile talk to fucking get my shit together to go back out there. I'm like, holy fuck, man. I never would have thought about that. And I can see it with tattoo artists because of the insanely personal relationship you have with the people you're tattooing. So, I mean, I was really curious about that question. So in closing, a few things. What advice do you guys have for first timers, for somebody that's interested in getting a tattoo, has questions, not sure what to do? What would you tell them?
Don't ask your parents first.
There you go.
And
if you're 18 or older.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really, really research and look up the people's art before you walk into a studio. Because I do feel like a lot of people just walk in somewhere, which isn't bad.
Sure.
But if you don't know what you're walking into, I feel like I get a lot of kids from high school who are about to graduate. So they're just 18. And they either have stick and pokes or tattoos from Indiana, because you can get them with the parents' consent, and they're not happy with them because they just went anywhere, you know? And if you're not already happy with them when you just turned 18, I feel like, you know, a little bit of just background knowledge of, you know, with all the stuff now, you don't have to walk into a place. You can sit on your couch and look on Instagram and just see how that artist works, you know, and just research.
Yeah.
Research and just DM, talk to the people, see how they are, you know, because if they're not friendly or don't care, they're probably not going to care about the piece that they're doing on you either. You know, I'm not saying everybody has time to kind of communicate and just talk, but people who are going to care about you take a little bit of extra time to communicate with you as well.
That makes sense.
You know,
is there anything you would have done differently, Brad?
Anything I would have done differently?
Yeah, if you were getting tattooed, like your first tattoo.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been Marine Corps related.
Come on.
And it wouldn't have been done at the shop that I went to.
Fidelis Marine. I think what My biggest. Go ahead.
My advice though for first tattoo: go big or go home. Go big or go home is the only option. Only option.
A buddy of mine that we went to high school with got a tattoo. I think you might know about it. He was against tattoos and all that stuff. Very straight-laced dude for the longest time. And then he got a little bit older, and on his rib cage, he got tattoos are stupid. Huge.
Boy.
Huge. Cartoonishly huge. I think if I would have done anything differently, I would have, exactly like Kara said, I would have taken my time. I would have found an artist that, I liked their work. But the one thing that I also can't recommend enough is like talk to your tattoo artist, ask them questions, ask them all the questions. They're the subject matter expert. Like I ask the professionalism that I've seen at Art and Soul and some of the other shops that I'm familiar with. Like it's not like what some people who've never been there would think. Just like how people, I think, have like negative feelings about a dispensary, and then you go in there and they're talking all this science shit, and you're like, holy fuck. Like you guys are so professional at what you do. And then when you explain how to like care for your tattoo, that's huge. That's something that, like I said, I didn't understand at all. So I think you can just get so much by asking questions to your tattoo artist too. You know
I think
what I mean?
the first 3 tattoos I got, I left with no aftercare. It wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, it was when I was 18, but still, like, we had information, we had computers, you know, so you'd think that you'd get something. It was the shop.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, honestly, back then, like, they didn't, we'll just give it a wash and sleep on it. It'll be fine.
Right.
Rub some salt in it.
Rub salt and dirt into the tattoo.
Now we're like super bougie about it.
Yeah.
Oh, here's some Tegaderm. You can like keep it on for 3 to 5 days and you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It'll be like healed.
It's great.
Like, no big deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Is there any other advice you would give?
You know, I will say a lot of people are afraid to get tattoos, especially for their first ones. And if you know that it's something that you want, and you've thought about it for, a couple of months, just go in and get it. Again, research your artist. I mean, the avenues to figure out like who you like are vast with the social medias and stuff. And again, you can always just come in and talk to us, but don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're nice.
We're here for you. We have so many plants in our shop. It's so nice.
Oh yeah, it's very nice.
And a lot of dead shit.
Yeah. Also nice.
Don't turn them off, dude.
No. Now, and then, last thing we didn't really talk about, like from a pain perspective. So I'm sure that a lot of, especially somebody that hasn't gotten a tattoo before, they might be worried about the pain.
Sure.
I haven't gotten, the only tattoos that I've gotten, they all come with like a little bit of pain for me, I think. But like when I got tattooed on my fucking sternum,
sure.
Like I felt that in like the base of my skull. Other than that, I don't really remember anything that was that bad, but I haven't gotten tattoos in any of the areas that people specifically say are some of the hardest areas to tattoo. Where, in your opinion, is like the most painful tattoo placement outside of maybe a butthole?
Like bony areas.
My stomach. So
Really?
I sat with Tommy and let him do so I already had my sternum done. I felt like that was a breeze. But then I had Tommy do the whole side.
Which was a cover-up, by the way.
Well, yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, there's a cover-up. Oh, yeah, and the unicorn sandwich, the original one.
Nice.
That covered up, too. So the whole entire side from under my boob, around, and then over, 9.5 hours. And I'm telling you, it did not feel like a normal tattoo, like a little cat scratch. It felt like he was stirring my innards.
Holy shit.
And for having my second baby, they knocked out my epidural, so it was all natural, so you could feel it. That was about probably the same pain. It didn't feel the same, but it was god awful. It was awful.
How did you deal with that?
She sat there like a champ.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Sat there. I didn't move because I'm like, I know that I'm going to have to do it again, but the next time it'll be in sections,
Yep.
So if I can just get through this, then I won't have to sit through that longevity and know what I'm coming in for. So I just sat there and just did what I did and did nothing. And then I just remember I was talking to Joe before he left on vacation, another artist at our shop. And he just looked at me one day and he's like, remember when you were getting your stomach tattooed? And I was like, yeah, I'll never forget. I'll never forget that.
Oh my God.
And he's like, I was like looking into your eyes and you weren't looking at me, but I was looking into your eyes
What a weirdo.
And I thought you were dead inside. And I was so scared of you for the next couple of months. I don't think we talked because I didn't think you were alive. And I was like, yeah, I was pretty much gone. And then I just remember I went home and I'm horrible. My skin's horrible. I get illnesses all the time. So I got cellulitis because I get that from like a twig stabbing me. So I got a little bit of patch of cellulitis, which is fine. It went away. But just having that much open skin on my stomach, I was crunchy. Like every movement hurt probably for about 2 weeks. It was ridiculous, but glad I did it.
Yeah.
Are you?
I mean,
but to sit there through that, I feel like I don't know how else to explain it. I just feel like you got to go to a dark fucking place or
like
something.
her soul left her body.
yeah, it definitely did.
I don't have anything to compare that to. And I also feel like, that it's true that women have a way higher pain tolerance than men.
I agree.
But when I used to compete in amateur strongman stuff, some of the stuff that I would have to do was like, you would have to do something that was super painful. It's not about the weight. Like I would have to do something where I would have to hold 250 pounds in each hand. And to grab that bar, you'd have to grab it and then twist it over. So it's like taking your skin and creating a pad. And then 250 pounds is right down on that, just pinching the fuck out of your hand.
Yeah.
And you just have to hold it for as long as you can. And the only advice I had to anybody was like, go to a dark fucking place, man.
Yeah.
Like just go there and stay there. And that's all you can do to try to get through the pain. Like that's all you can do. But that wasn't for 9.5 hours. I couldn't even imagine. But again, do you guys think that women have, is that true? Would you say?
I do feel that because I have seen more guys faint or have to leave in between a tattoo or a piercing. I have yet to see a woman. Guys do. It does seem like I see a lot more guys getting bigger pieces, at least at the moment for the last, year and a half at Art and Soul. But I do see probably over half of the guys that I've seen get pierced, fainted, or passed out, or puked. At least 4 piercings.
All at once.
Yeah. All of them.
When they pass out, you just like wait a few minutes and they wake back up again.
Yeah, we just let them drop and like have a nap.
Yeah, just put a little blanket over them.
Yeah.
Tuckered out.
He's tuckered out.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, so I do think that for some portions. But I did have this girl who I was tattooing. She started to cry.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah. And I had other clients in the room, not my clients, but there were other people tattooing. And I started to notice that people were staring. And I'm very soft-handed. I've heard it from a lot of people. So I know. And I'm like, I don't understand like why she's crying. And she's like shaking. And I was like, do you want me to stop? And she's like, no, just keep going. Like, okay. So I'm going and just like tears. I see tears falling from the bed to the floor. And she's laying on her side because I'm doing the side of her hip. And I'm like, I can't have her just like bawling like she got in trouble and everybody's staring.
Right.
So I was like, you sure? Do you need to get up and move for a little bit or something? She's like, no. So my other coworker looks at me and she's like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
I was like, dude, I don't know. So she keeps on going. I just fucking crank up the music and I just like look away and I'm just fucking just going. I'm like, dude, I can't, no, we can't all listen to you cry.
Right. What else are you supposed to do, especially if they want you to continue going? Was it a pain thing? Was it an emotional thing? Maybe both? No idea.
I think it all was everything. I don't know.
Damn.
I got to finish that one still.
Yeah, right.
Enjoy.
I know.
Holy shit.
Make that on a nighttime shift when no one else is there.
Well, like I didn't know too, like if people come in to get tattoos that have like a dog shit pain tolerance and then they just expect you to figure it out and work with them somehow.
Well, that's why they invented numbing cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That has saved a lot of men.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, is it true that like you said, the bony areas are some of the most painful areas? So like top of the foot, rib cage, that type of stuff.
Nipples hurt.
Yeah.
Nipples.
Nipples hurt.
Totally to change the subject.
Yep.
So we just went to this convention and this dude that was tattooing next to us had his nipples blacked out.
blacked out.
Well, because he had a full chest tattoo.
Yep.
So his
it wasn't just his nipples.
Yeah, his artist. That would be nice.
I want it now in my head. I just want to think of somebody just nipples blacked out, and that's it. That'd be pretty sweet.
No.
Yeah, okay.
But it looked really nice. It was a nice tattoo. But he was like, it was 15 minutes per nipple, and it was the worst time of my life.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I couldn't even. Oh my god! Yeah, that would be pretty bad
Nipple
too.
hurts.
So I started glittering my friend's nipples.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
what is that process like?
Just like, what does that even mean?
It's a glitter tattoo.
Yeah, glitter tattoo. So it's tons of dots, different colors.
Yep.
To kind of give that perception of, the glitter.
Oh yeah.
And because I really wanted to glitter somebody's nipples.
Sure.
Because I want mine.
Sure.
But if it's not going to look right, I might as well do it somebody else first.
Right. Yep.
So my friend, he comes in and he's like, I want daisies around my nipples. I was like,
daisies.
only if I can glitter your areolas.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. So we do the daisies around. Didn't finish it, just the lines. And so I was like, all right, we're going to go in for the glitter. I think I got maybe
That poor kid.
12 little dots. And he's like, we got to stop. We got to stop. So he hasn't come back yet.
Dude, and he has a stomach tattooed too.
Yeah, I did above the stomach. He had a big tiger on his belly. He had his belly button blacked out because it was part of the mouth. So he's got some shit.
But those nipple glitters.
Yeah.
He's just got like 12 little dots and that's it.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, you're like, you think there's something there, but can't quite tell.
Exactly.
you got some schmutz on your nipple.
You got
Some schmutz.
Lick your finger. I'll get it.
So other than that, Brad, you got any other thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, hopes, dreams?
No.
I think we did pretty good.
I mean, I've got lots of hopes and dreams. I do. I just don't want to share. I
dreams.
just. I don't
You
know.
share whatever you want to share.
You're
you
in a
live
safe
your
space.
truth.
I know.
Yeah.
You live your truth.
No, I'm good.
I'm glad you're good.
Thanks, man.
How can people find you guys? How can they find your work? How can they get in contact with you if they want to see more? Like, how do they do it?
I will send you a messenger pigeon.
Messenger pigeon? That would be an awesome way to communicate with people.
It'll be like a Hogwarts thing. No, social media. I got the Facebooks and the Instagrams.
Mm-hmm.
Website.
Oh yeah, I do have a website. You're right.
Yeah, we three are. I have all three too.
What's your website?
Sarah Jane Granzo. It's like a Canva. I don't know. I don't remember.
It's okay.
I'm all nervous now.
We'll put the link on there.
But my Instagram and my Facebook are the same. It's sarahjane.zo.tattoos.
Nice. Karo?
And my Facebook is Karo Trzzy. I think Karo F.I.N.E. Trzzy. My Instagram is Karo Trzzy Tattoo, and my website's gypsywarriortribe.com because that's my bone and tattooing.
Nice. I really appreciate both of you guys taking the time to be on here.
Thank you.
And sharing your experiences with everything. We'll make sure that we link your websites in the episode description.
I'll get that for you.
Nice. Thank you very much. Other than that, is there anything else that you have to say? Anything you want to promote? Anything at all?
I just appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
And I appreciate Brad.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, it was awesome. So, okay. Well, thank you again for listening. And like I said, we'll have the episodes linked here in the episode description if you want to go to both, either one of their pages. Also, from an event perspective, Project Headspace and Timing now has 5 or 6 things going on every week. We have 3 peer support groups for veterans every week. We have a spousal group once a month. We have a female vet group that meets once a week. We have a rucking group that meets once a week, golf every other week. And we have Heroes, Hogs, and Hot Rods, our festival coming up on June 1st.
Yes, sir.
I think that's about everything. And hopefully we're going to try to live stream an episode.
Fingers crossed.
In fucking forever. We've never done it before. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It'll probably be
great.
fine. So we hope you enjoyed the episode. Please, if you have anything else to add as far as your experience with getting tattoos, the best and the worst of it, feel free to comment, feel free to write us, send it into our website, projectheadspaceandtiming.org, or our Facebook page for Project Headspace and Timing or the I'm Fine podcast. But other than that, we appreciate you for tuning in, and we hope that we help do our part in getting you from being freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional to truly being fine about getting ink therapy.